everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, bringing to you another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. And July 26, 1999 marks 25 years ago that The Undertaker and The Big Show joined forces to form the Unholy Alliance. And for today's edition, I am going to be talking about the success and failures of The Undertaker and The Big Show's Unholy Alliance partnership and their entire run from July 1999 to September 1999. So, ever since The Big Show made his debut in WWF back in February at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, The Undertaker and The Big Show, pretty much since the day they first ever met each other, had pretty much been on a mission to destroy one another. The first time these two ever met was in April 1999 on the Go Home show before Backlash, and these two monsters would try to destroy one another. In May 1999, they faced each other for the first time ever in the ring, and this resulted in The Undertaker smashing a baseball bat over Big Show's head. And then Big Show would return the favour the following month in June when he chokeslammed The Undertaker through the ring during their WWF title match. So these two have never been friends, they've been sworn enemies and pretty much trying to take each other out. I've always called this Lord Hades versus Goliath. It's pretty much the best way you could describe these two. Undertaker, of course, being Lord Hades and the Big Show being Goliath. That's the best way I always described these two every time they did battle. And leading up to Fully Loaded 99, there was no indication that these two were going to be joining forces. The closest little hints that we got was at Fully Loaded 99 during Big Show and Kane's match. Big Show would obviously get the win thanks to an assist from Hardcore Holly. X-Pac would come out. He would lay out Hardcore Holly. Undertaker would get involved, chokeslam X-Pac as revenge for Kane choosing X-Pac over The Undertaker. And then The Undertaker and The Big Show, for that brief time, would double team Kane. And they would stare each other down, and The Undertaker would leave. No real indication there that these two were going to be working together. I kind of always looked at it like they had a common enemy, and that common enemy was Kane. So the two of them put the beat down on Kane and left. That was it. So Undertaker would lose a First Blood end of an era WWF title match to Stone Cold thanks to interference from X-Pac, with the stipulation that if The Undertaker lost, Vince McMahon would be forced to leave WWF forever. And as a result of Vince McMahon leaving, the whole corporate ministry fell apart. Thank God for that. Absolutely terrible, which I will talk about in another edition for another time. So the Ministry of Darkness was finished. The corporate ministry had collapsed. Where did that leave The Undertaker? We wouldn't wait too long to get that question answered, as the next night on Raw, The Undertaker would come out with revenge on his mind as he would destroy the Road Dogg and then go on to destroy X-Pac, who cost him the WWF title at Fully Loaded 99. Kane would come out and try to make the save and help his tag team partner slash friend. The two brothers would go at it. Big Show would come out and assist The Undertaker in putting the beats down on both X-Pac and Kane, and this would lead to a shocking handshake, much to the disgust and dismay of the fans, and this would mark the formation of the Unholy Alliance. Now, when the ministry and the corporation merged to become the corporate ministry, it made no sense, especially as both heel factions were feuding with each other, but at least they had some form of a goal: take out Austin and The Rock. Undertaker and The Big Show, just to me, just seemed really bizarre. They were enemies before, and now they're a tag team. And we never really got a real reason why they came together. And it just seemed like to me that creative didn't know what to do with The Undertaker, which is quite shocking because all throughout The Undertaker's career, since debuting in 1990, Undertaker's always been involved in big feuds, big matches, you name it. Undertaker was always in the thick of things, and he always went from big feud to big feud. Even if some of the feuds were daft, at least Undertaker was in the mix doing something. This time, however, it just seemed like they didn't know what to do with him. He just seemed like he was lost. And the impression I got from The Undertaker was his heart really wasn't in it. I mean, if he didn't care about the corporate ministry, the Unholy Alliance, he cared even less. And you could really see that on his face throughout the next few weeks. I would say that the reason for Undertaker and the Big Show pairing up together was probably to help the Big Show get more over because he came in very strong at St. Valentine's Day Massacre in February, went on a big tear, and then just went whack, nowhere to go. He was feuding with Kane, but as much as I love those two guys, I don't really enjoy their matches that much. I mean, it's cool to see them doing impressive things to each other with their strength, but their matches weren't that good. And, Big Show, it just seemed like he was lost. And in the storyline, Big Show was kind of like Undertaker's servant or apprentice of sorts. And this would mark a drastic change in Undertaker's personality. He was no longer the satanic cult leader. He was just more like a regular guy. And that did kind of start in the corporate ministry, but he was still evil. He was still kind of on the dark side, but just a little bit more toned down. When you get to the Unholy Alliance, he was completely watered down. He was just more like a generic heel. I mean, he was still entertaining. He was still, a monster, but you didn't really get the sense that the Undertaker was as feared as he was before. I mean, yes, he was still intimidating, but when you look at how the Undertaker was in January '99, he was like this dark Sith-like lord, and then you fast forward to July '99. They're not the same, are they? They just seem like two different people. And Undertaker was no longer wearing any robes or spiked capes or anything. He was just wearing his normal gear. And yeah, Undertaker and the Big Show as a tag team had no chemistry whatsoever. It just seemed a bit of a mess. And you could clearly see Undertaker was banged up. He was injured. He torn his groin. So I think, as far as I can tell, the pairing of Undertaker and Big Show was pretty much to help take some of the load off the Undertaker's back so he could heal up. That's the impression I got. But story wise, it just made no sense. And you have to wonder, what was the payoff? I mean, where was this going? Undertaker's promos made no sense. Big Show just seemed like a fool. There was just nothing good about this. I wouldn't say it was bad. It just made no sense. And that seemed to be the theme in '99, wherever The Undertaker was around. Zero sense. Nothing made sense whatsoever. And as much as I love The Undertaker, he's my guy, but oh boy, there was just nothing good about this whatsoever. I think Undertaker and Big Show work better as opponents than, you know, tag team partners. And isn't it funny that they never revisited this again? I mean, we would see Kane and Undertaker reunite many, many times over the years, but you never ever saw the Undertaker and the Big Show reunite ever again, not even for a one-off tag team match. There's a good reason for that. So during this run, Undertaker and Big Show would feud with the Acolytes. They would feud with Kane and X Pac. They would feud with The Rock and Sock Connection. They would mix it up with Stone Cold, Triple H. They mixed up with a lot of different tag teams and wrestlers. So I suppose in that respect, that was kind of decent. I think another thing that I noticed during this time, Undertaker took the Big Show in to mentor him because he had that killer instinct and he wanted to bring that out of him. And he kept saying to him that I'm preparing you for something far more bigger. What was it? The WWF title, perhaps? Maybe. And Undertaker would even go on to say that when the time is right, I will stab you in the back. So, classic Undertaker stuff. And Undertaker and the Big Show would win the tag team titles at SummerSlam '99. They wouldn't keep it for long. They would lose it to the Rock and Sock Connection just a couple of weeks later. Then they would win it back a couple of weeks after in a first and only Buried Alive tag team match on SmackDown. Wow, crazy. And after that, Big Show was just defending the titles on his own while Undertaker was doing commentary, which, by the way, when I look back at it now, it's hilarious. But when I watched it when I was younger, I just thought Undertaker doesn't do commentary. No chance. It just seemed really weird. But when I look back at it now, it was kind of funny. But it's not really what you want to see with a guy who was supposed to be on the dark side doing commentary. It was just weird. So Undertaker would phase out his ministry gimmick and start coming out in jeans and shirts and shades. So clearly you could see he was in transition mode, morphing into what we now know as the American Badass biker gimmick. And they would tease tension between Undertaker and the Big Show. And yeah, after that, this tag team pretty much fizzled out, really. Undertaker left before Unforgiven, where he was supposed to be part of the six pack challenge. And that was it. Run pretty much over. Big Show would eventually go on to win the WWF title at Survivor Series '99, and he would lose it to Triple H in January 2000. But other than that, that was it. We Unholy Alliance just pretty much just quietly faded away into darkness. No pun intended. I think how I would have booked the implosion of this team is if Undertaker had stayed, still teased tension, then by Royal Rumble 2000, Undertaker eliminates the Big Show from the Royal Rumble match as a way of saying every man for himself, tough love, that sort of stuff. Big Show would finally snap, and then that would pretty much mark the end of the tag team. Maybe it would have culminated in a match at No Way Out 2000 or WrestleMania 2000, possibly, perhaps. I mean, there was just some moments here I think could have led to that if I was booking that. Maybe those moments could have happened. And even prior to The Undertaker leaving, Big Show pretty much took out Paul Bearer. Undertaker didn't even help Paul Bearer, which I thought was funny, by the way. He just left him there. And yeah, there was just a lot of stuff that made no sense. Why did The Undertaker leave the Big Show? What did Paul Bearer show him in his jacket? Just a lot of unanswered questions. And I think to this day, none of it's been addressed. What was the payoff? How would the Unholy Alliance have ended? Would The Undertaker have turned on the Big Show? Would Big Show have turned on The Undertaker? Who knows, really? But yeah, when I look back at this, yeah, it's no surprise why this run was so short. Undertaker was hurt. The chemistry just wasn't there. And I think even if Undertaker didn't leave, if he had stayed, yeah, this tag team partnership was pretty much doomed from the beginning. So, in terms of the success and failures of the Unholy Alliance, yeah, a complete failure. I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, it was a great success because they won the tag team titles twice and they feuded with all the big names. Yes, that part was successful, but overall it was a complete failure. What more can I say, really? It was a disaster. And I think this was just done to give these guys something to do, but more so the Big Show because he was going nowhere. Undertaker, he can coast along because he's the Undertaker. He's the big name. He's the legend. But I still got the sense that creative just didn't know what to do with him, or both of these guys for that matter. And at one point, it looked like they were trying to get Kane on their side before they got together, but yeah, that didn't happen either. Would have been cool though. Undertaker, Kane, and Big Show together with Paul Bearer. Whew, that would have been dynamite stuff. But yeah, this was a complete failure. Made no sense whatsoever. But hey ho, you've got to try these things, otherwise you'll never know. But yeah, there's a good reason why they didn't put these two back together years after. They just didn't have chemistry. I think they work better, as I said earlier, they work better as opponents than tag team partners. And the fans didn't care. They weren't interested. They really weren't. But, you know, while they were together, I won't deny they were unstoppable. They really were. They were really unstoppable. And that promo where Undertaker talks about leaving the Big Show in the desert and using his skin as a jacket. Oh God, so stupid. And Jericho interrupting them as well and calling him the personification of boredom. Killer stuff, but obviously they didn't endure Jericho to everyone else backstage. But yeah, this was just a failure. It really was. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on the unholy alliance of the Big Show and the Undertaker? Do you look at it as a success or a failure? If they had stayed together, how would they have broken up? Do you think they would have imploded at the Royal Rumble 2000? Do you think the Undertaker could have turned on the Big Show, or do you think Big Show could have turned on the Undertaker? Do you think it would have led to a match at No Way Out 2000 or WrestleMania 2000? And is there any favourite moments that you had during their Unholy Alliance run? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.